welcome to this conversation presented by White House Custom Color. I'm Jed Toffer. Today I'm in Franklin, Tennessee, speaking with Jeremy Cowart. How's it going, buddy?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. We're here on a Monday morning, trying to get over the Mondays a little bit, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But as my kids have been saying to me, it's a good day to have a good day.
Yeah, I love that. It's actually finally sunny. I'm just excited about sunshine.
It is. The sun is out, and that is amazing how that changes everything, because we've had so much rain in so many different parts of the country lately.
Absolutely. Literally 2 or 3 weeks of overcast, rain and cold. So sunshine is medicine right now.
The sun is here. Jeremy, tell me a little bit about who you are. What's your story in a nutshell?
From Nashville, been here my whole life. Grew up thinking I wouldn't accomplish much due to I was never making good grades or doing very well. My words were always "I can't" growing up, and so I.
Is that right?
Yeah. And so I actually released a video about that recently, about my life story, called "I'm Possible," because the word impossible actually spells
Yes.
I'm possible.
Right.
But yeah, and so then I went on to kind of stumble into the photo industry. I was a graphic designer beforehand, so I picked up a camera to shoot textures and things to incorporate into my design work, and then I fell in love with the camera, and then I started photographing my friends. But living here in Nashville, my friends would then get signed to record labels, and record labels would start using me. And then an agent in Hollywood, I beat her for a job, so she discovered me because I beat her, and then we signed a deal, and then all of a sudden I was shooting celebrities in Hollywood, and the Kardashians and Sting and all kinds of people. And so yeah, my career went from 0 to 60. I mean, literally, especially in hindsight, I realized how ridiculous it was for me to, within a year from picking up a camera to, all of a sudden I'm in Hollywood shooting some of the biggest campaigns.
When you say you beat her, what does that mean? Like you got the job?
Yeah, I got the job. So there was like a bunch of photographers up for it, and she represented several of them. And then I got the job, and that's how she discovered me. She's like, "Hey, you just got a job that I was up for, but I really like your work." She's like, "Do you have an agent?" I was like, "What's an agent? What are you talking about?" And so yeah, we signed a deal, and then and so that was literally the first year of shooting, and so I was extremely lucky.
That was your first year of shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't you move out there?
I did. We moved out there for a year and a half, and actually loved it out there. And but it's a long story as to why we came back. We were kind of forced to come back due to a bad. We had somebody living in our house in Nashville, a tenant that nearly destroyed our house.
Oh goodness!
And didn't pay rent, so he kind of forced us to leave LA and come back home. Which, was crazy, but I don't regret it because I love Nashville and I'm fine to be here. But it is sometimes interesting to just wonder, like, what would have happened had I stayed in LA.
The what ifs.
Yeah, the what ifs. And so, but that was our story. So we're back here and very, very happy. Now everybody in LA and New York is coming to us because Nashville's just booming. And so it's fun to have my hometown be the it city right now.
Well, it's got to feel good, too, to be here somewhat in the Midwest/South. I really don't even know how it's categorized these days, but to have people from the coasts come to you.
Yeah, exactly.
You kind of know that you made it when that happens, maybe. Sounds good to me anyway.
Yeah, the city has definitely made it, that's for sure.
What are you doing currently? What's on your plate recently?
Yeah, I feel like I have I'm juggling 3 careers right now, which is shooting still. I do a lot of public speaking now, which has taken up a huge chunk of my time. But then the third most increasingly important and third most important chunk of my time is just the Purpose Hotel. Mm-hmm. Trying to figure out how to build a global hotel chain from scratch. That's a massive endeavor that we're working on. We being my business partner and I.
How's it coming along?
Amazing. Had the idea 5.5 years ago. Scared of it for 3.5 years. Literally just like paralyzed in fear. I'm not touching that idea. And then
Because it was too big?
Too big, yeah. I'm a freelance photographer with a big idea for a hotel chain. You know, my mid-30s, how does one like that go? And, you know, how does a thousandaire build a, you know, $100 million
A thousandaire.
Yeah, build a $100 million building. So yeah, I just didn't do anything, but I still love the idea. And then a couple years ago, my business manager, at the time, you know, we started talking and started putting one foot in front of the other. Launched a Kickstarter campaign that took us about 9 months to get ready for that. And then we launched it, and that was huge success. And actually, the first one failed because our goal was so lofty and so high. So then we did it again immediately. We raised $700,000 to get the ball rolling, to raise initial funds to do what we need to do. And now it looks like we have land downtown Nashville.
Is that right?
Yeah, which is insane. And so we've been working on pitch decks and all kinds of geeky business stuff for months now. And we're currently pitching to big-time investors to actually raise the building and build probably about a $60 million building.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
What is the Purpose Hotel?
Basically, everything in the building will be connected to causes and nonprofits. So, for example, every room is going to sponsor a child and tell their story. All the artwork will come from my humanitarian artist and photographer friends. Imagine Joey L. work hanging in the hotel. Let's see. The soaps and shampoos will come from places like Thistle Farms, which employ women out of domestic abuse and violence. The internet fee will fight human trafficking through International Justice Mission. When you order room service, you'll feed a child through Food for the Hungry. So it is everything you touch is making the world a better place. And so we have probably 50-ish causes involved already. And yeah, it's really, really exciting.
Where can people go right now to find out more about it or to help out?
Yeah, there's nothing really right now, and that's kind of by design because we went really public with the Kickstarter and tried to blow it up. But then to keep it kind of on the down low, we went back into what I call submarine mode. We were like shooting fireworks off the cruise ship, you know, there for a while. And now we're like underwater in our submarine, quietly speeding ahead. So I think we have a really lame splash page up at thepurposehotel.com.
Okay.
There'll be a website that goes up there soon. And then I think I have a little bit of information about it at jeremycowart.com. And then if they go to kickstarter.com, they can search The Purpose Hotel and see our original campaign that we launched. But it's closed, so they can't donate to that anymore. But yeah, it's happening. It's crazy.
With something so big.
Yeah.
And really so important in so many ways, how do you juggle that with everything else? Like, how do you juggle something so enormous with, like, oh, you have a photo shoot of person X today? I mean, that seems like such opposite ends of a scale. Yeah,
it is. And I mean, the only way to describe it is literally just one day at a time. Like, you just treat. I mean, one day, every day for me is so different career-wise. Like, today is meetings. I have hotel meetings today. Tomorrow is the same. Wednesday is an all-day photo shoot. Thursday is an all-day photo shoot. And Thursday I fly out to speak at WPPI.
All right.
And then I go from there to field trip. I'm speaking at that thing as well. Then I'll come back home and dive into more hotel stuff. So it's truly shoot, speak, hotel, speak, shoot. You know, that's kind of my...
What does your team look like? How do you do this?
Yeah, I have a... literally right across the hall right here, the door right there, is my business manager, and he has probably 10 employees over there.
Okay.
And so they do all my accounting. He has 2 people that do accounting, so they run all my contracts and accounting and all that. And then he also runs a video production company. So they have shooters and editors over there that for everything I do on C University. They shoot, produce, and edit and all that. And so basically them.
Right.
That's how I get everything done. And I would truly be screwed without Michael. He's been my manager for 13 years, and I call him my peanut butter. I'm the jelly in this equation. Jelly is messy and unpredictable and sloppy, and it's just a mess. And then every creative has to have their peanut butter to that predictable, controlled substance to go with your jelly. And so,
I love your metaphors.
Thanks, man.
There's so many great metaphors.
Thank you. So yeah, I tell creative people, you got to find your peanut butter if you want to do something that requires a business mind, that requires numbers and contracts. Right. Because creative people are not designed for that stuff. So you have to find somebody. And so he and I have been doing this for 13 years together, and I would truly because I look back on all my endeavors over the last decade. None of them would have worked without him. They just wouldn't have, Mm-hmm. So
I feel like that's great advice. I've heard it said in so many different ways. None so really eloquent as that. I love that peanut butter and jelly analogy. But it sounds like that's really good advice for a lot of creatives in general to legitimately listen to this. Mm-hmm. You need somebody, or most likely, because some people can do it. But I feel like those people are few and far between. You need somebody to kind of hold it together on the back end.
Yep.
Whatever that looks like.
Yep.
Especially with numbers.
Oh, yeah.
From a business perspective, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if that's not in line, what you're doing isn't very sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, he's the type that will go back and forth for weeks on a contract, word for word for word for word. Mm-hmm. And you got to have somebody to do that for you.
But even if it's just an accountant.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Or even if it's just a mentor that knows business if you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like the necessity of that needs to be stressed more and more for people.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you agree with me.
Yeah, I can't really can't stress that enough. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And I just got lucky. I was asking around for an accountant, and somebody recommended him, and still to this day don't know why he agreed to take me on, because he doesn't manage other individuals. He manages his own business, and then his clients are huge corporations. So I'm his only one-off person. Right. So for whatever reason, he took me in, and I realized quickly that he was much more than an accountant. He was I call him a ninja, his jack of all trades, and so yeah, we've been doing this for a long time. You
would call him a part of the secret to your success, so to speak.
Oh, huge! Probably the secret. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He's a really, really unique. We're opposites in every way. So again, the peanut butter and jelly analogy. Yeah. I mean, truly, you can't Google him. He's not on the internet. Mm-hmm. He hates all things public. Social media, has no interest. He is very patient. I'm very impatient. I'm very trusting of people. He's not trusting at all. Right. He is quiet and slow and just very, 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 very wise.
Calculated.
Oh, extremely.
I like
extremely calculated.
Yeah.
And I'm all things opposite of calculated. Yeah.
Speaking of all that, I want to know, and I've asked a few different people that I've gotten to talk to this question, but from your perspective, what has it been like to go from some, relatively obscure creative to who you are today? To go from one follower on Instagram to 500 billion or whatever. I honestly don't know how many you have, but you're an influencer now. You're legit. You're a legit influencer in the industry and in the creative space in general. What has that ride been like? Because I'm assuming you didn't start initially and think, this is who these are my aspirations. This is what I want to become.
No, never. Yeah, it's been interesting. I don't anymore feel like I have a big following. Therefore, I was on everything really early. And, I think it was a few years ago, Huffington Post and Forbes had this thing, they did literally a scientific study on influence, and they measured across all platforms who had not the most followers, but the most actual engagement. And they called me and they said, hey, you're the most influential photographer on the internet. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Amazing.
And this was 4 years ago. And so at the time I was all over it and I loved it and it was a big piece of what I do. But I would say these days I don't even crack the top 200 list because there's so many other, that's all changed so much. I would say these days the most influential photographer is Humans of New York. I mean that.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
Yep,
that guy
they blew up.
Yeah, I mean tens of millions of followers, and I'm proud of Brandon, the guy that runs it. He has nailed something really special there, and so yeah, I don't even almost claim that I'm a big deal anymore, but there for a while it was definitely a huge part of what I do, and so I'm called. I feel called and led to lead because I think kids these days, like
air quotes, just
air quotes,
just so people know.
There's so many bad influences on young people, especially on social media. It's just full of just not bad, but just vanity, just filled with vanity. And so I just really think that the young people need to see leaders who prioritize family first, children first, spouses first, who are using the creativity to do good things in the world versus just promote themselves. And so I feel led to continue to do that. I want to show people that you can be really creative, but if you use that creativity as a force to help people and to think creatively in times of need, that's a really interesting take on creativity, because most all creative people are just using it to say, look at me, I'm awesome, I'm awesome. So I'm always like, okay, I realized quickly that I didn't love promoting myself, didn't love making things. I mean, it's still a necessity to some degree. I still have to push my whatever, promote myself, but I hate it. And so I'm always like, how can I use my instincts and ideas to do interesting things that will help people?
But again, if you need something promoted, you can get somebody to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, these days it's really just the hotel projects that we're doing, and we got a ton of. I mean, that thing was, it was all over the place. So yeah, I know how to get attention when I need it, but I don't often need it. I haven't needed it in a while.
What sort of advice do you have for people that are just jumping into this primordial soup of creation and ambition and entrepreneurship and everything that we call this space of photography and design right now?
That's a big question.
It's broad and open-ended.
Yeah.
By design.
I mean,
because it's different, right?
Yeah,
than it was even 10 or 15 years ago. It's different.
Gosh, even 3 years ago, it just keeps evolving so quickly. I mean, it's the age old, like you just have to figure out what you want to say and what you're, saying you want to be a photographer is so generic and so, okay, it's like, well, that's a good start. But even within photography, there's so many different genres. Like if you want to be a musician, you're going to have to decide, well, do I want to do country music, pop, rock, rap, jazz, hip hop, you know?
Right.
And in photography, we kind of have the same genres. Are you going to shoot weddings? Are you going to shoot concerts, food, architecture, portraits, bands? I mean, the list is a mile long of different. And then within that range, then it's like, well, all of those have drastically different levels of income and roads to success. The roads to success and all of those are so different.
Right.
And then once you figure that out, which road you're going to take, which genre, then it's like, all right, what's going to be your unique approach? How is your voice going to be different than all the other thousands of people doing that? And it's the $1 million, if I could teach that, everybody in the
Right.
world will be listening to me. Nobody can teach that. It's everybody's journey to
I like that.
to figuring that out.
Yeah.
What is that unique thing gonna be? And it's super tricky.
I know you're a tremendous family man.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle all of this, all of the things that you're doing, all of your commitments and all of your ambitions within this industry, and be a good husband and a good dad?
Yeah, again, it's just a day at a time. It's you have to prioritize and choose your family, like with every decision you can. So, for example, I turn down so many things that I probably should do that I just don't want to because I'd just rather be home. Like when I travel to speak, I push my flying time to the very last second I can.
Yeah.
I speak, and then as soon as I'm done speaking, I fly home.
You're in and out.
I don't choose to stay and schmooze and network and all that because it just doesn't interest me. I don't want to. I don't like all that stuff. So I just I'm very efficient with my travel, and I'm in and out. And so and then I'm not traveling and shooting as much, and that's part of why I've slowed down, purposely shifting everything I do, because I don't want to be gone. I realize what it would take to again, here comes another analogy. A lot of people think that I, at least a few years ago, that I was like at the top of the photo industry, like the best of the best. And I'm like, no, I never was that. But if the photo industry was the NBA, like I feel like I made it into the NBA and I'm maybe on one of the teams, but like Annie Leibovitz is LeBron James,
Right.
and
Right.
even I wouldn't even make the All-Star team. I'll put it that way. There's all these amazing photographers in my mind that would be there. But at the same time, I realized what it would take to become an All-Star or Annie Leibovitz, and what that would take is an insane amount of choosing career over family. That would take schmoozing, partying, networking, traveling all the time.
Yeah.
And I have friends that are on that rocket ship to that level, and they travel 24/7.
They're always out and about.
Always. Not just out and about, but literally on planes.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
I don't want that to be my life. I don't want to be jet setting all the time and leaving my wife to raise our 4 kids. It's just not of interest to me.
She probably wouldn't appreciate that either.
Yeah. And so, it's like I'd really understand what it would take to just dominate in the photo industry. And it's just not of interest. Yeah.
Who of the people in your mind that dominate blow you away right now? You said Annie, and who else is up there that you're just constantly like, wow, that's awesome, and they're rocking it?
Yeah, well, I'm in the genre of portraits and entertainment, and so I don't know anything about what's going on in the wedding industry, which I know a lot of your listeners are in that world. But in my world, there's a guy named Miller Mobley that's killing it. He's a real young guy shooting amazing portraits. My friend Robbie Klein is doing an incredible job. He's got this deal with Getty where he's literally shooting every celebrity in the world every week. I mean, it's amazing to watch. But then there's like, I would say in the NBA All-Star cast,
Yeah.
people I follow would be Dan Winters, Frank Ockenfels, Peter Yang. I love what John Keatley is doing. I always love watching what Joey's doing, Joey L.
Yeah, he's solid.
There's so many more. I'm spacing off the top of my head, but yeah, it's fun to watch, and I do enjoy kind of like not really being in the game, but just observing and seeing who else doing what.
Who are you outside of the game? If photography and the industry and all of that is a game, and you come out of the locker room and you go home at night.
Yeah.
Who are you outside of all this without a camera?
Yeah. I've come to think of myself really just as an ideas person. I hate creative as a noun. I'm a creative.
Yeah.
But I have realized that, like, man, we as creative people, we want to attach that identity to ourselves. Like so many photographers' bios on Instagram or Twitter or whatever just says the word photographer, period. Like that's our, and it needs to be said in that really low voice, photographer,
yes, that works.
We're so hungry to attach that identity to ourselves. And so, but I've realized over time, it's like, man, I was never a designer. I'm not a photographer. I'm not a whatever. I just have a lot of ideas and my tools change. Yeah. My tools for the last decade has been a camera. Mm-hmm. Before that, it was graphic design and a computer. Mm-hmm. And now it's a whole new world. And I'll always use my past tools. I'll always be a photographer. But I don't know that will be my main trajectory in terms of income or, whatever. And so I have ideas for TV shows, for books, for apps, for, again, obviously hotels. I just have ideas for so many things. And so I enjoy life is so short that I find it boring to only use one tool my whole life, only use a camera. So is
that what you primarily attribute your ability to evolve? Because we all know people that are their feet are in the sand, or their heads are in the sand. Yeah, and they're stuck. Mm-hmm. What do you attribute your ability to change and evolve, and to not be afraid?
Yeah, I don't know what I attribute that to. That's a good question. But I think you just kind of nailed it on the head. I would say most of my creative friends are really afraid to try something new, to change. So I have a lot of buddies right now that are actually super jaded. A lot of them are in the music field where they're just they're past their primes. They're not making money, but they think they can only do music the rest of their lives.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, dude, hang it up. Leave music. Literally stop and go do something, because I've been amazed at how more fulfilled I am doing things that don't involve photography. But 5 years ago, I would have never thought that. I thought, photography's the rest of my life. It's the only thing I can ever do. But as I've gone into new genres, I'm like, wait a minute, this is even more fun than that was,
So you're able to look back in hindsight and see the photography as kind of a stepping stone to where you're at now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so I just think that as creative people, we can do a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be the one identity, So we have some really epic country music playing in the seafood restaurant next to me. I don't know if you can hear that. You gotta have your Alan Jackson while you eat your shrimp.
Well, everyone will just have to grin and bear that.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's finish with this. I've done this with a few people too, and I kind of like this concept, but it's sort of a call to action. Mm-hmm. What would you suggest people do right now? Like if someone's struggling, if someone, whether it's to find their niche and to focus on that, just a short little clip of advice or a suggestion to anybody that might be in a spot today where they're really struggling with the Mondays, and they do that on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday too. What do you have to say to somebody to kind of lift them out of that or challenge them?
Yeah, I would encourage people to go on a detour, and what I mean by that is I think as creative people, we all have our bookmarks in our browsers. We're all following the same people every day. So I would say maybe change up all your visual diet, maybe change up, unfollow. If you're following only wedding photographers, unfollow them and go follow the fashion industry. Go follow what's happening that, or go follow music photographers and literally change up your visual intake and
your
just
visual diet. I really like that.
Yeah.
The diet word's a triggering word for me. However, I think it makes a lot of sense. I've never heard it put like that, but I like the concept.
Yeah. Change what you're eating every day, and because I do think I've always been amazed at how different genres of photography inform what I'm doing in my genre. You know, I do love following the wedding industry and the fashion industry, and especially the fine art. The fine art industry probably influences me the most, but it's not my industry. But I love I love it. Just inspires me. I mean, you can see those two pieces behind you.
Yeah.
Like that's where my head really lives. So yeah, change up your diet.
I like it. That's your what'd you call it? Your visual diet? Is that
Your
right?
visual diet. Yeah,
Your visual diet. Change that up. Okay. I like it. Dude, I really appreciate this.
of course.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
It's great to be here in your space.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely.
And I will let you get back to life and family and
And
all
acai bowls.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. I can't say that word very well. That was your breakfast today. I had a big fat egg and chicken sandwich or something like
Love
that.
it.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you.